everyone, and welcome to the webinar. My name is Alexine Gordon-Stewart, and I'm part of the marketing team here at BIM Track. Today, our customer success manager, Matthew Londay, will be taking you through issue tracking and Tekla structures, as well as communicating on those issues with other teams who might be working in Revit, Navisworks, or those with just a browser. Before I hand over to Matthew, a few little housekeeping notes. Please feel free to ask questions in the questions portion of Zoom, and we will try to answer your questions as soon as possible. If we're not able to, we'll email that after the webinar to you. Finally, recording of today's webinar will be sent to all who registered. If you have any colleagues you'd like to share it with after the fact, please feel free to go ahead and forward it. So without further ado, here is Matthew.
Thank you very much, Alexine. Hello there, everyone. My name is Matthew, and I am the Customer Success Manager here at BIM Track. I have 7+ years of experience in the AEC software space. I'm a Revit, Navisworks, and Tekla guru, you could say. And today we're going to be talking about BIM Track within the Tekla environment and how it can optimize your workflow and issue tracking. So we've got a bit of an agenda here before us. We are going to talk about why centralized issue tracking in these BIM platforms is the key to success. We're going to look at issue creation in Tekla structures. We're going to see how we can communicate on those issues in Tekla. We are going to then coordinate with teams outside of Tekla. So for example, in Revit and Navisworks. We're going to take a look at BIM Track's web viewer for open access for users who may not be working with Autodesk or Trimble Tekla packages. We are going to talk about tracking issue resolution progress, so how we can create those issues, follow it through its lifespan until it is closed in archives, and then we are going to look at creating coordination reports. So this is a typical model coordination workflow. First, BIM modelers are creating the models in their favorite software. Then they share the models with the BIM managers and coordinators. The BIM managers or coordinators are merging the models. They inspect the models for quality assurance, execute a clash analysis, and verify information. They compile the comments in a report and share the report with other stakeholders. Those stakeholders read, annotate, and share the reports back to BIM modelers to correct the models using their BIM software. Finally, the modelers are returning the models to the data sharing environment with corrected or not issues. They have to annotate the report if they want to communicate back the action that they did. Because different versions of the same information can coexist in different mailboxes and locations, it's obvious that information might be lost or produced twice in this process and lead to late schedules or cost overrun. What's your workflow? With BIM Track, we are going to improve this workflow by managing the issues. Again, the BIM modelers create the models and share with the BIM managers and coordinators. They, in turn, merge the models, inspect it for quality assurance, execute clash analysis, verify information, and so on. They both publish issues directly to BIM Track, and both have instant access to it. Now, with BIM Track, the rest of the project team can access the issue list through web browsers, using mobile devices, or a computer without the need to download and install any software. So why not work in context along with everyone else on the project? So let's get right into Tekla. Let's take a look at a project we've got in there. I'm just going to go ahead and open Tekla right here. So I'm sure you're all familiar with the Tekla environment. So if I just kind of zoom around here a little bit. Oops, sorry about that. there we go. I see I've got some misplaced beams right here. I'm just going to center it right in the middle of my screen. This looks like an issue to me. And what I want to do is open BIM Track. So from the applications and components, we simply find BIM Track. There it is. Give it a double click, and it opens in a new window for me. So right here, I'm going to log into my BIM Track account, which I've created from the online platform. Just quickly jump in like that. Again, if you guys have any questions at any point during the webinar, please feel free to type them into the chat portion of the Zoom meeting. So here we go. I'm going to log into my BIM Track hub, open the appropriate project. And this is the same process that's done across all of the different platforms, whether it's Revit or Navisworks or here in Tekla. Make this a little bit smaller. You just kind of slide it right over here. So again, with the found issue in the middle of my screen, I simply hit Create Issue. BIM Track takes a snapshot of the image on screen. It is geolocated myself exactly where I am. So if I click on my little preview image right here, I can see I'm standing right where I am in the model, looking at the issue in question. We have the ability to annotate this image using a image editing software. This can be Photoshop, Paint, like my situation here. We can go ahead and add in any kind of needed annotation, such as rectangles, text, arrows, whatever the case may be. We can simply save that, and those markups are saved into the image. So we just give our issue a name. Just call it beam issue. We can add in a description as well. And then we have our metadata. These are extractable attributes that are going to allow us to filter, find, and then create reports at any point during our project process. So I need to assign this issue to an individual. I'll assign it to Matthew, who's on the structural team. I give this issue a priority. So it'll be a high priority issue. I can define what zone of my project this issue might be found in. So it'll be up in the mezzanine. I can apply labels. I can define team access to these issues, restricting specific teams from seeing these issues. I can notify people. This is like a CC on an email, or I can notify the entire team in question. So now everybody on the structural engineering firm team will receive a notification that this issue has been created and assigned to an individual. We are looking at a clash here, and its status is open. And of course, a due date is automatically applied, but we have the ability to select either a new date, and of course, at any time or any point in this issue's life, we can increase or decrease that due date. So now I simply need to publish this issue. I'll see it creating, and BIM Track is updating. Just like that, issue 431 is created, and now it will be accessible to all of the users who are utilizing BIM Track on their projects. Now, if we take a look at the other issues in our list here, I can simply click on any one of them to be taken directly to that location within the model. So if we just grab anyone here, I don't know, here we go, issue 406, I click View and Model. It takes me directly to that location. There I haven't added the other models here. I can see from my image preview, it looks like the light gauge steel elements are clashing with this beam right here. So the architect will need to relocate this wall, and then the framers will have to adjust their framing. But at this point, I can also say view edit right here and make any needed modifications. I can add comments to this issue. So you'll notice that I've already added a comment here that says the architect to move walls so the framing will update. I can add in additional images, additional snapshots from the model. I can add in attachments. So if I have documents, RFIs, Excels, whatever the case may be, I can add that attachment to this issue. And I can also see the complete history of my issue. Now, this information, these comments, these attachments are accessible to all the users on the project. Therefore, we're not sending emails, we're not texting or phone, whatever the case is, everything is centralized in BIM Track right here. So again, we can publish any changes we make to that issue. And once again, BIM Track updates as you're seeing. And now that issue is updated across all of the platforms involved. Now, if we go ahead and open up, let's say Revit, right here, I'm looking at the same project. I've got BIM Track, docked to the right of my screen over there. I can simply refresh, bring in any changes that may have been made. Just give it a second. And again, I see issue 431. I can open it up. I can see the exact location I was in when I created this issue. And when I click View and Model, it takes me to the exact same location. There are times where I may have objects in my way, but obviously within Revit, we can quickly just apply a view template. So here we've got one set up for BIM Track, and it removes elements I'm not interested in seeing. It applies transparencies. And just like this, now I can see all of the beams in question. So I can just grab a few. I'll quickly throw on a section box right here. You can orbit around. I can resize this section box need be. And again, I can hide anything I don't want to see. At this point, I have the ability of adding in additional viewpoints. So this can be done in any of the software environments. So I'm going to add this view right here directly to issue 431. And now just like that, I have two preview images in BIM Track. And I'm able to access either one in any of those platforms. So if I go ahead and open up Navisworks, just scroll all the way up to the top here, we'll refresh. BIM Track. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat portion of the Zoom meeting. There we go. Let's go ahead and we can hide the architectural exterior. And when I click View and Model again, it takes me to the exact same location that we were in when we created the issue in Tekla. And then if I select the second preview image and click View and Model, it takes me to the exact same location, applies a section box around the beams in question. So this isn't a one-way street, as you're seeing. I can access these images, all of that information across all of the platforms. So here I can see everything that was, every comment that was added. I can see all of the attributes here, the attachments, as well as the history. So again, if I were to access this issue in, let's say, Revit, I were to make the authoring changes here, I adjusted the cutbacks on those beams, I would simply need to change the status from open to resolved, and I publish that change, and that information is now available across all of those platforms. So this is the idea of BIM Track. It's centralizing that communication in one place with these metadata, these attributes that can be modified on the fly with the comments, the attachments, and the history that are accessible to everyone. Now I say everyone because more than quite often we'll say we are working within these Autodesk and Trimble products. But what if we are working with users who are not so familiar with Revit and Navisworks and Tekla? Well, they have the ability to use the web platform. So here we go. I've already logged into my account right here. I'm on my issues page. I'll just refresh it real quick. And again, I can see all of the issues that I've already created, as well as issue 431 that we had just created in Tekla. I can now see its status is set to resolved, and I know that this issue has taken place. We also have the web viewer. This is a place where, again, users can come online, no need to download any software, and they have the ability to see all of the models in question. So they can simply turn on the architectural skin right here. They can turn on any of the HVAC or MEP models. You'll notice I've separated them by folders so they're nice and easy to find. There's the site and my structural models right here. Just give that a second. I get a little bit of a slowdown because I'm connected to the VPN, and over the GoToMeeting, it slows my machine down just a little bit. There's my structural model. I can see everything right here. And we'll just leave that. And of course, at this point in time, I can also access the issues in question. So I can see all of the issues, all of the camera pinpoints. But if I just want to see issue 431, there we go. Again, we're taken to the exact same location. We're displayed the exact same information. And just like that, I can make any modifications to these views. Well, there's my architectural skin at this point, just showed up. And the nice thing about the online viewer is the saved views. So here I can create any combination of models, and I can save them and display any kind of colors here. So if I've got I call this one my working Tekla view, I can apply colors, transparencies, element overrides. And again, just like that, there we go. I can see my structural model, all of my services, and now I can very easily traverse through my project. If I see an issue, we'll say right here, perhaps we're looking at one. I can create an issue in this platform as well. So we'll just call this one a new column issue. It's open. It is a request. It is a high priority issue. I'm going to assign it to myself and give access to the structural team. This image is going to be taken, placed into BIM Track, and when I go to access, let's say Tekla once more, and I refresh my list, if we scroll all the way back up, and I click View and Model, it takes me to the exact same location, and then again, I can make any changes I may need right here. So that information, again, is being derived from the online platform. So if we go back into the online platform, it's very nice that we've put all of this information into Revit, into Tekla, into Navisworks here on the online platform, but we need to extract it and have it be useful for us. So if we open up our metrics page right here, I'm able to filter all of the issues on my project by any of those given attributes that we had selected. So perhaps I want to see teams. It displays all of my issues by each individual team. Here I can see in pink, the structural engineering firm has 124 issues. So if I click on that portion of the chart right there, it narrows it down. Now I can see who they're assigned to, but perhaps I want to see it by priority. I can see that the structural team has 28 critical issues applied to it. I can see that they've got 68 high priority issues. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 28 critical issues. Again, I can continue to narrow down these metrics any way I want, or I could look at those 28 issues. Here, I've just opened it up in a new page right here. So it takes me back to my issues page. It applies the appropriate filter. And now I can see all of the critical issues that are assigned to the structural team. At this point, I can make any modification to all of these issues. Perhaps, let's just take the top 6 right here. I want to modify their due date to tomorrow. And when I hit save, Matthew on the structural team will receive a notification that the due date for these 6 issues has been modified. He immediately knows that I want those issues resolved by tomorrow. So just like that, we can communicate from one platform to the next without having to type up an email, find the issues we want, list them out, and have him go through there and look for them. He can simply click on each individual issue in his authoring platform and make those changes. So our metrics are quite helpful in that sense. And of course, we can create reports out of BIM Track. This tip right here. So again, you'll notice that we have a filter option right here. Let's start by filtering filtering my report by issues that are assigned to Matthew on the structural team again. I want to see clashes, code violations, and let's say requests. I want to look for critical and high priority issues. So perhaps I want to leave out those low priority and medium priority issues right now. I want to see issues that are opened or reopened. And maybe I want to see all of the issues that are due by the end of, we'll say, September. So I can apply this filter to those attributes. If I swing down a little bit right here to my issues properties, I can opt to display all of those properties, or I can say, just show me the phase, the team, the status, the label, the zone, and the type. And then metrics, we were just on the metrics page before, so now I have the ability to decide exactly what metrics I want to see on my report. I like to go by status, by type, and let's say by team and zone. We have some advanced options down here so that we can include the comments. We have the ability to combine them, and then we can also add a summary to the report. So at this point, I have the ability to print this report, and it's going to open up in a new page for me, and we'll come back to that in a second. But what if this is a report that requires to be sent out perhaps monthly or weekly or even every day? Well, I can schedule this report to be generated at any given time interval. The first thing I want to do is create a template out of this report, and you'll notice I've got quite a few already created and saved here. I can create a shared report, which allows all of the users on the project to access my defined criteria, or I can keep it personal. So again, this is a structural, I'm going to call it Tekla webinar so I can find it very easily, and they're due by the end of September. Oops. There we go. So I create this template. There it is right there. And then I can schedule this report to be generated. So let me just grab my new template right there. This will be my weekly structural coordination meeting report. Like I said, it can be scheduled to be generated once, daily, weekly, or monthly. I like to go with weekly. I can say every Wednesday at exactly let's say 9 a.m. It's going to create this report. I'll need to start it, I'll start it next week. And I can specify the users or the teams, the companies that I want this report sent to. So I want it sent to the entire BIM Track team. I want it sent to the entire structural, where's my structural firm? There it is. And I can also select individuals. So perhaps the client right here wants to see that structural report, and I schedule it to be created. So as of next Wednesday at 9 a.m., this report will be generated and sent to those individuals. If we take a look at the report that I created, here it is. I can see that there are 200 total project issues. There are 50 of them in this report. I've got assignments right here. There are some of the attributes displayed right there. Here are the metrics that I asked to be included. And then I can see each individual issue. So if we find one, well, let's just take issue 399 right here. I have the ability of selecting this issue. It opens it up in a new tab and it takes me directly there. I can add comments, attachments, or see the complete history of that issue at this point in time as well. The reports that are going to be sent, that are scheduled at whatever time interval we have suggested, are a very nice feature because it allows us to retain a complete history of those reports that are generated. Every report that gets sent will retain this hyperlink intelligence, but the information in the reports remains static. So at one point in time, I can compare week 7 from week 10 and see exactly how many issues each team has had. I can see what types of issues, how many have increased or decreased, and I can also see exactly how long it's taking me to close those issues. So again, we retain that link back to our project, back to the individual issue itself, but we also retain that static information which lets us compare reports from one week to the next. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed the presentation today, from taking issues created in Tekla, seeing them in the Revit environment, in the Navisworks environment, in the online platform, and then how we can very easily extract that information containing all of the communications from each of the teams, from all of the users involved. So again, we're going to be sending out the recording of this meeting once it's done compressing. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat portion of that dialog box there, the Zoom webinar chat. We've got answers going on right now. So again, I thank you guys.
Sorry about that. So if you guys are interested in using issue tracking in Tekla structures or any of the other platforms that Matthew showed today, please feel free to book a demo with our team on our website, or you can sign up straight away if you'd like to test it out. Your first 50 issues are free. So like Matt said, we'll be sending a link in the follow-up email. Thanks again for your time, and we will now be ending the webinar.